Hello, welcome to Custom Creator. Going to show you a comment we had from our dear friend Gary Goodman.
The always informative Gary Goodman.
Uh, uh, so, that's pretty damn cool. Huey Lewis is uh, a rock and roll icon. I mean, I remember Huey Lewis mostly because my friend Chad Houston, who's went on to be probably the most successful friend I have. He does some kind of something I can't even name in some kind of big building in some kind of big city. But shout out to you, Chad Houston. You're a great guy. Um, these were back in baseball card days when baseball cards were popular. So, um, but yeah, his dad was a Huey Lewis in the News nut, and he literally was a nut. My dad drove a train for a living. So did Chad Houston. So our dads knew each other, and it's kind of how we knew each other. I think his dad was a brakeman, but anyway, they both worked for the railroad. And yeah, he was just a kind of like me, walking around, goofballing around all the time, singing crazy stuff. And I just remember Huey Lewis in the News. Everything was he had every kind of like OGL's CD collection back there. If it was just Huey Lewis in the News. So but
you
I,
you couldn't
you
escape
go.
Huey Lewis in the News in the '80s. It was just impossible. He was all over the place.
No, I put that in there with like Steve Winwood and the I had three or four I was gonna put with it now, but um yeah, I can't think of them right now. But Huey Lewis in the News was great. So and we found out also that this song, "You Can't Judge a Book by Its Cover," is what Dusty Rhodes, the wrestler for NWA wrestling back in the day, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes,
I can dream,
used to
Dusty
come
Rhodes,
out to.
baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
and like hey, give what you told me your take on why the what the meaning of "can't judge a book by its cover" is.
So the NWA back then, this was probably around '86, '87. They used a lot of like classic rock and country tunes for their wrestlers. The Road Warriors used to come out to Iron Man by Black Sabbath, but this song, "Don't Judge a Book by Looking at Its Cover," it was kind of like that was the Dusty's shtick, I guess, and that you think about the Road Warriors, Nikita Koloff, Lex Luger, like that was a time when you had all these giant muscular dudes that looked like they could snap a guy in half. And then here comes Dusty Rhodes, who's a big guy, but he just looks like, he's a guy that bulks up at Pizza Hut as opposed to Gold's Gym. He's just a big, son of a plumber looking guy, but he'd kick your ass just as much as those big muscular fellows do. So it's like, don't judge a book by its cover. I may not look like an athlete, but I will thump you. So yeah, that was
Um,
Dusty's Common Man, American Dream persona, and it fits perfectly for him, just as a like a theme. But I'm interested in hearing what the song itself sounds like.
he went on to WWF to be with Precious, the lady that walked him out all the time. What was his name there? I know it was Dusty Rhodes, but it was
So the girl was
was
Sapphire, right? The older black lady that he
oh, I thought it was
was.
Precious, but
Precious
yeah,
was a valet in the NWA that was with Jimmy Garvin, I think. I might be.
yeah,
Yep,
okay,
yep, yep.
yeah.
So he had like
Sapphire, yeah, the
yeah, he had like the common man gimmick. He had the black thing with the polka dots. And whenever
yeah,
someone hears Dusty Rhodes, the first he's just a common man. Dusty coming out dancing.
Yeah.
Like
That's the one I remember the most.
The entire gimmick, that like the whole polka dot thing, that was designed by Vince McMahon basically to humiliate Dusty, because Dusty was very successful in a rival promotion, but Dusty just had so much charisma that he ended up winning the crowd over anyway. So
yeah. So my dad wasn't into a whole lot of sports or anything. He was a great man, and as I said, he drove a train. He died unexpectedly right before he retired, but he loved wrestling and cars, the car shows. That's why the car shows mean a lot to me. But anyway, he took me, for one, he went to the almost exact same route for 20 some years to Roanoke, Virginia, and back here to North Carolina. And Roanoke, Virginia is just one of the bigger towns in Virginia, up near West Virginia. And it was called Norfolk Southern. So it was Norfolk, because I make the joke all the time. The Oliver Anthony's Richmond, north of Richmond. We're Norfolk, south of Norfolk. So, yeah. Norfolk Southern Lines was the, and the hub is right down the road from me here. Anyway, he took me to see in Charlotte the NWA, and it was Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, and the co-main event was the scaffold match between the Midnight Express and Big Bubba Rogers, who became the Big Boss Man, and against the Road Warriors and Dusty Rhodes.
Is that the one where Cornette blew his knees out taking that fall off the scaffold?
Very well could have been. This was
that's iconic, a legendary card you saw. Wow.
I was actually there. I mean, I was really too young to really remember it vividly at all. I just basically remember the memory more than I actually remember it. But I remember seeing that scaffolding and thinking, damn, they're really up there, you know.
Yeah. There's no healthy way to fall from that height.
And I remember Dusty Rhodes tried to slam the Big Boss Man, or Big Bubba Rogers, who at that time they wanted to make out like he was really a lot bigger than he was. And Dusty tried and tried. Then Animal, or Hulk won. I think it was Hulk, come over there and pushed Dusty out of the way, picked him up and slammed him all for the scaffolding down to the ring, you know. So I think it was about 16, 20 foot. It wasn't as high as like the cages got to be in for Hell in the Cell and all that, when
right.
At least not down like Cactus got threw off the top of it down all the way down to the yeah. So anyway, this song was that, like and Gary Goodman let me in on another Hank Williams Jr. song I knew nothing about.
Lots of memories in this one. Huey Lewis in the news and 80s music, classic NWA wrestling, and Hank Williams Jr. I mean, what could be better?
So we'll sorry for the long intro, but it's a short song, and that's pretty cool stories to go along with it. So
yeah, it's got a short song, but a lot attached to it.
Let's pause for station identification. All right, we're back. So I went and made myself a note to put in there that basically 9 minutes is when the music's going to start. So we're going to get to that now. All right, OGL, I'm going to mute us. Well, we'll give us a better station identification. All right, OGL, I'm going to mute us.
Now let's boogie. How's this, Hank? That's right, hear it. Everybody play. Yeah. You know you can't be too quick to judge somebody. You might end up with your foot in your mouth. You can't judge an apple by looking at looking at the beat. You can't judge a daughter by looking at the mother. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Come on, can't you see? No, you can't judge me. I might look like a farmer, but I'm a lover. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Get it? That's right.
All right. So this is a lot more rock and rolling than I thought it would be. I love that. Can't judge a daughter by looking at the mother. And can't judge a book by looking at the cover. And I had another take on possibly why Dusty this was a song that resonated with him. He had a son who came out the closet as a homosexual, gold dust, and caught a lot of crap for that in those days when it wasn't so accepted. And I think maybe that was could have been another reason, but I don't judge a book by the cover.
And also the just the road's name was so prominent back then. Just and with that comes the advantages and the curse. The advantage is that if you're Dusty Rhodes' son, wrestling promoters are going to take a look at you. But because you're Dusty Rhodes' son, you better be able to deliver. And those are big shoes to fill. So yeah, there's a lot of things that could.
On top of the fact that he was like known as the man's man.
Yes.
So I'm not going to get into that, but it just happened to hit me there. That would have been something that would be hard to deal with. All around, from the outside world, from the interior parts of your family, especially in the 80s. I think that was probably the worst time for the stigmatism of homosexuality. So,
and especially in like a hyper masculine environment, like like a pro wrestling locker room, that's got to be just double down on that. But I love the groove on this. I like the intro. I love how Hank's always calling out to when he ever does a collaboration, he's always shouting out, "Hey, let's do this!" And I don't think we've heard Huey yet, but you got to think that just sharing a studio or a stage with Hank is going to make you raise your game, just because not only is he a legend, but he's one of the most amazing musicians ever. So, but yeah, this is a lot of fun, and it definitely is something that you would play to sort of pump yourself up. So, in other words, it's a perfect entrance theme for an ass kicker.
Yeah, it's got that guitar. It's got that. That's a harmonica. I'm
assuming.
Yeah,
It's tearing it up in on that background. Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back a little. Well, let's just go back all the way. As the beautiful and hopefully feeling better Elizabeth Jaroff would say, she's been sick lately. Let's go back.
We love you, Eve. Feel better.
Boogie. How's this, Hank? That's right, Huey.
We're trying to get used to mute. Oh, I'm sorry.
Everybody play. Yeah. You can't be too quick to judge somebody. Might end up with your foot in your mouth. You can't judge an apple by looking at a tree. You can't judge a honey by looking at the bee. You can't judge a daughter by looking at the mother. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Come on, can't you see? No, you can't judge me. I might look like a farmer, but I'm a lover. Come on, can't you see? No, you can't judge me. Boy, ain't that the truth? I might look like a hillbilly. I'm a rock and roller. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover.
Now, if he ever spoke the truth, that's the truth. He might just look like a hillbilly, but he's a rock and roller all the way. I've said that since our very first Hank Williams reaction, that the only reason the man is considered country music and country music only is his father was the king of country music. And just, it's hard to pull away from that, you know?
I mean, that guitar riff in there, you slap some extra distortion on there, that's not too far off from a standard AC/DC riff. Yeah, this is just a little bit cleaner sounding. They've got that guitar, just like it's a big wall of sound that they're generating with just the guitar, the harmonica, and that really insistent drum pattern. I love how in the chorus they'll drop the most of the instruments out when they say you can't judge a book by looking at the cover. And Huey sounds good. This is a bit more, I guess, aggressive for Huey. I'm used to him singing sort of happy to be stuck with you, hip to be square, like your standard 80s pop, where he's got like a dad voice. It's got sort of like a gentle, reassuring strength about it. It's very distinct. It's easy to pick out. But here he's got a bit more grit. He's got a bit more bite to his sound. And again, I just feel like being around Hank Williams Jr., even if they're recording their parts at different times, like you get to sort of feel that in the studio. You're going to up your game. So it's cool hearing Huey Lewis in a different context. There's something else I was trying to think of, but I think anyone who's ever seen Hank Williams Jr. perform live, like that dude, it's the same thing with Sturgill Simpson as well. You can call them country, but watch them perform live. Those guys are rockers to the bone.
Well, even the country music industry couldn't get away from that 5-time in a row entertainer of the year, Hank Williams Jr.
Mm-hmm.
There have been 2 other bands to win 5 entertainer of the years, but not in a row. Alabama being one and Garth Brooks being the other.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anyone was ever saying, "Oh my God, Hank won again." It's like, who else was going to win? Of course, Hank won. He's awesome.
And what was that we seen on that interview? He had like 4 albums and like 32 songs all charting at the same time.
Yeah, something ridiculous like
on
that.
the Billboard, like, wow, yeah, like no doubt.
The only thing close, the only thing
Indeed.
close to that I can think of was, I think maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half, every Tool album was on the Billboard Top 20, like all of them.
Yeah, and I'm Tool to the bone, but I will say that had a lot to do with they didn't release anything till 2019. So
Very true, but
it would have been
very true, but there are
quite as.
Yeah.
I'm not putting my boys down. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's still impressive because there's a lot of bands that make their fans wait, but like their entire discography don't show up on the top 20. If it was top 200, that would be different. I'm talking top 20. That's an impressive stat. But yeah, Hank is like I said, he's in a class all by himself. He is he is a guy whose musical abilities are even. There's a lot of people that their legend comes from their presence, their cultural impact. Hank has that as well, but his musical abilities are the second to none. That's his ability to play any instrument at a high level. His vocal abilities. Hank is he's an absolute beast, and he's still going strong. At what is he, 70 now?
The man's backstory and story in general, and upbringings, and I mean, there's just so many things you can put there. He can play any instrument. I'm not seeing one he can't play yet. At a very substantial, high level.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, let's back it up a little there.
Yeah.
Huey, I think this may not go along with what you said about grit and groove, but it's like he put a little more blues into his sound.
Agreed.
To go along with this, because rock and blues cannot exist without the other. I firmly believe that.
Joined
There
at the
are
hip. Yes.
some types of rock that can exist without blues, but classic rock and roll music, I don't think it can exist without the blues.
I would agree with that 100%.
You can't judge sugar by looking at the cane. You can't judge a woman by looking at the man. You can't judge a sister by looking at the brother. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover.
Come on, can't you see? No, you can't judge me.
Boy, ain't that the truth?
I might look like a hillbilly. I'm a rock and roller. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. You can't judge a fish.
By looking in the pond,
You can't judge a right.
by looking at the wrong,
You can't judge a one.
by looking at the other.
You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Come on, can't you see? No, you can't judge me.
I'm a little like a hippie, but I'm a rocker. You
Can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Come on. I'm a guitar man. And you is a heart man.
I'm a guitar man, and Huey is the heartland, I think is what he said. I had to pull up the lyrics right at the end of it. That was such a good line Huey sung. Well, you can't judge a wrong.
Can't judge a right by
Um,
looking. Shit.
Hell did that go, man? You can't judge a right while you're being stoned or something. That wasn't it. What is this?
Solid advice, though.
Get on this mute thing here.
Can't judge a fish.
by looking in the pond,
You can't judge a right.
by looking at the wrong,
You can't judge a one.
by looking at the other.
You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Come on, can't you see? No, you can't judge me.
I'm a little like a hippie, but I'm a rocker. You
Can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Come on. I'm a guitar man. And you is a heart man. Yes, sir. I didn't know it was gonna sound this good.
Man. Oh, Lord, hold on. Now the tab started playing. Y'all couldn't hear it. But religion does not enhance your moral judgment. I don't know what I was watching, but man, that was so good. And I like the way Hank in the back said, "Man, I know it's gonna sound this good." That's that was really, really, really cool.
I like how in the final verse they traded lines. You had Hank sang the first verse, Huey sang the sang the second. Then the last verse, they went back and forth. I love that. And you can't judge a right by looking at the wrong. Can't judge one by looking at the other. Can't judge a book by looking at the really very clever lyric writing, and just the rhythm of the words just sort of lockstep with the groove of the music.
I'm wondering who wrote it now. I'm gonna pull it up here. I'll pause. All right, I found out a little bit about it. I didn't want to mess the screen up, so I just recorded it this way. The song was released on the album Montana Cafe by Hank Williams Jr. in 1986. The song was featured as track 6 on the album. The song was produced by Barry Beckett, Jim Ed Norman, and Hank Williams Jr. The lyrics of the song convey the message that outward appearances do not accurately reflect a person's true nature or character. The song was written by Willie Dixon was the original songwriter of the song, but it seems like the Hank Williams Jr. and Huey Lewis has been the more popular version, and it always goes to them, credited to them, but it's actually not. It was written by Willie Dixon. So there you go. I loved it. I thought it was a great song.
Yeah, it had just a stomping groove, very danceable, very uplifting. Again, great to see Huey Lewis or to hear him in a song like that. Just shows another side of his musical ability. A lot more, like you said, bluesier, a lot more sass, and it's just yet another amazing track by Hank Williams Jr.
No doubt. So, mental health is real. We appreciate y'all for spending your time with us. And thank you, Gary Goodman, for constantly finding new duets, even with Hank and other great prominent artists. Just goes to show, from the Outlaws to Ray Charles to Huey Lewis to the Preachers to Hank Jr. has sung with just about everyone. So, it's love, and be a part of the start. And music is I ain't gonna steal your line. Go ahead, OGL.
Music is your best support group, everybody. Listen to it whenever you can. Take care of yourselves so you can take care of others. We'll be seeing you all around.
Peace out.